Well, thank you everyone for joining today's webinar on freelancing. We've chosen this webinar topic because freelancing is becoming an increasingly popular career choice, and for good reason. It's either chosen as an additional stream of income for employed individuals, but it's also a viable alternative to full-time employment that gives you just more freedom and flexibility. Today, I have Lucy Smith with us. She is a successful marketing freelancer, and this is our opportunity to learn from her. And so we're gonna jump right in, and I'm gonna ask Lucy to introduce herself. For those of you who don't know her, just to caveat today's presentation that we are not trying to sell freelancing to you. We're not trying to convince anybody that this is the best career option. We will try to present the pluses and minuses of freelancing as realistically as possible, and then the decision is down to you. Later on in the presentation, and actually we can do this now, we have created a quiz. It's called Is Freelancing Right for You? And I think the benefit of it is, besides the result, is the prompts that it will offer to you. Do you have enough savings? Do you have a support system, professional connections, maybe, family members? Do you have a marketing specialism that you're interested in? And so I think it's just a useful exercise, regardless of the results and the score that you're going to get at the end. All right, so without further ado, hello, Lucy.
Hi, everyone. As Anna said, I'm Lucy. I'm a marketing consultant. I was a marketing freelancer turned marketing consultant turned tech founder. So I've been in marketing for over 10 years now, both in agency, in internal teams, and most recently been self-employed since August last year. I left employment in quite a spectacular fashion last July. I worked for a company where I was email marketing manager, and I quit one Tuesday without looking back. Which I wouldn't recommend in hindsight, but here we are.
You are very brave.
So, as I say, I've been self-employed since August 2024 as a marketing freelancer. That became my marketing consultancy, which is Ellis Marketing Limited, which I incorporated in April this year. And then finally, which I'll touch on at the end, I founded Thistle, which is my new tool to help people develop their personal brands online. Literally last week, so it's all good fun.
Oh, congratulations! Yeah, you're definitely wearing many hats, and I think we'll have lots to learn from you. So thank you, Lucy, for being on today's webinar. For those of you who don't know me, I am a marketing professional turned entrepreneur. I've started working in marketing as a full-time employee in 2011. Then I progressed to marketing director in 2018, and also held the position of head of EMEA marketing in 2023. And last year, I've decided to go down the self-employment route myself, and really materialize my dream of becoming a marketing career coach and mentor, and kind of be that support and voice of encouragement that I didn't have. So I also host Your Marketing Big Sister podcast, where we focus on career stories of other marketing professionals. Very relatable. It's not your celebrity podcast. And I hope you'll tune in and enjoy. You might be listening to this webinar actually as part of the podcast, if you're not joining us live. Okay, so Lucy, let's dive into your freelancing journey. Can you talk to us about the pivotal career moments that led to this major career change? And then tell us if freelancing is as straightforward as it might seem on social media.
So I started my career agency side. I was in agency for 7 years. I was at my last agency for 5.5, and I only left because I kind of hit a ceiling of my own capabilities within the business. There wasn't really anywhere else for me to go. So I went in-house to a SaaS company. I was there 6 months. I gave it a good go, but it wasn't really for me with the bureaucracy and the red tape. And then I got my last job, which was email marketing manager for a cosmetic company, and as I say, I left in rather spectacular fashion one Tuesday lunchtime after a disagreement with senior leadership. And after I left that role, I wanted to lodge a grievance against the person I disagreed with, but their HR department basically dismissed it. So I wrote about them on LinkedIn, wrote about my experience on LinkedIn. I didn't name them or anything, and you probably don't have to scroll back that far on my LinkedIn to see it. But I wrote a post about them on LinkedIn and it went viral. And at that point, I didn't know if I was going to go back to work. I think when we first met last year, Anna, I was in two minds of whether or not I was going to go back to work or if I was actually going to give freelancing sort of like my full undivided effort. So I set up freelancing on the 1st of August last year with the intention that I'd do it for 6 months, and if I made no money, I'd go back to work. And I would have given it a good go, but it wasn't meant to be. Except it was in fact meant to be, and here we are a year later, and there is no sign of me going back to work anytime soon.
Yeah, so you made it a successful experiment, actually, and it's a lot more than that now. So what we would want you to share with us is how you've made this a successful business, and like how did you get an idea of what you were going to do, what specialism, and at what price point? Because this could be quite a difficult decision to make for someone contemplating freelancing.
Yeah, so I've always been in my career a marketing generalist, and I thought that I would be able to, and this isn't a reflection of like societal like influence or anything, I thought as myself I would be able to settle into a niche that was email marketing, because that was obviously the last job that I'd done. And that would kind of be the end of it. But the problem with that is that I like every part of marketing too much, and I like being able to do different things for different people. So in the end, that led to when I incorporated my actual marketing consultancy at the start of this year. That led me to developing basically a pricing structure that was based on hours, and basically you get a finite amount of time for a finite amount of money, and that money that time can be allocated towards whatever you would like support with, whether that's blog writing, email marketing, organic social, paid social, and then one of the other services I've recently started doing is LinkedIn ghostwriting for founders. So people who don't have maybe not the time, but the inclination to do their own LinkedIn. And I work with them to develop a content strategy that works for their businesses.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I think, probably marketing managers will resonate with you a lot because they do like to do a little bit of everything. And so, potentially marketing directors or those who feel that they've reached that kind of a ceiling, or, they've kind of reached all their goals in terms of career progression, they too will resonate with this. I don't have to choose a specialism, you know, I know all these, I can do all these areas of marketing. And so, my services can be varied. But at the same time, for those who are, love a certain aspect of marketing, then it's going to be a very easy choice for them. And what I would also add to what you said, so when people are contemplating, their services, the packages, the pricing, as part of that exercise, I urge you all not to forget about the testimonials, because you've all done great work in your previous roles or for various other clients. And so do make sure to incorporate testimonials and LinkedIn recommendations on your website or in your proposals. And then do build a portfolio, especially if the services you offer are social media related, content creation, photography, etc. Would you agree, Lucy?
Yeah. 100%. If there was one thing that I could go back and grab my past self by the shoulders and shake them, it would be for not getting testimonials and recommendations.
Easily done, isn't it?
Yeah,
yep.
It is, especially if you're the kind of person, I've been having a lot of conversations about this recently, but if you're the kind of person who has always kind of floated just under the radar at work, you've always done a good job, but you've maybe not gone out of your way to ask for feedback about it, and if you've always been a consistently good person, it's quite daunting to then be in that position where you are literally, the sole breadwinner of your business. You are chief everything officer. You do struggle initially, or at least I did, with not having actual tangible results.
Yeah. That's
of the work
right.
I've done. You could tell everyone till the cows come home that I was an amazing email marketer, and thankfully now I have the proof that I am. But this time last year, I didn't have that.
Yeah, you definitely have to acquire a different skill set as as a business owner. I think one of those key skills are sales, and kind of learning to promote not necessarily yourself but your own business or your skills, and that can be it can be difficult if you're not used to it. And recommendations, like we said, are part of that. But at the same time, you shouldn't feel embarrassed to go back to the people you've worked with before and say, hey, would you please give me a LinkedIn recommendation? Also, maybe inform them about your business venture in the same breath, and kind of spread the word that way. Yeah. And like you said, it takes time. So, if you don't see results in the first month of your freelancing business, it takes months and months, and maybe even the first year might be the most difficult one. Take calculated risks and persevere and give it a good go.
Yes, I think the natural, especially if you work in the creative industries like we both did, you would typically it would be assumed that you'd have a side hustle. And you would side hustle for long enough until it became your main hustle.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of the end of it. Obviously, I wasn't in that position because I quit my job, and I was very impulsively, some may say. But I had nothing. I had no network, no clients, just the goodwill of people on LinkedIn who commented on my posts and engaged with the post when it went viral. But I think I gave it 6 months as full-time all the time. I had no safety net, no nothing. But what I will say is that I also went freelance just before Q4, just when everyone was going to be really busy. So I kind of skewed my own success in that regard, because I was really busy. Literally, like you said, don't expect to go into it straight away and be successful. But when you're in marketing roles, and especially when you have specialisms or you've niched down, or as I was a T-shaped marketer where I had sort of the specialisms in email and social, email's very busy over Q4. So anyone who wants any emails doing over Q4, it can be quite lucrative.
Yeah, that's the time. And I think the other great pillar of your journey was the fact that you've worked in agencies before, and so the pool of contacts that you create in that arena is much wider compared to just being in-house. But it's the journey will be different for everybody. I did a very, very similar thing. I got started at the beginning of the year, and I didn't have another job or a full-time position while building the business. if your context allows it, it is a one way of doing it. So I think what you said before ties in very well into our next section about finding your first clients. How did that happen for you?
So it's actually quite a nice side effect, I guess. So I was, as a result of the post going viral, with my concerns about my ex-employer, I got 3 clients off the back of it.
Ah, it's good.
So that was a really good start.
Yeah.
Got 3 clients off the back of it, and then I worked with the agency I used to work for. I white labeled for them for a bit, over Q4, because they needed the extra, like the assistance in house. Then I kind of just started. I had a really good network, and I always probably underestimated the value of my network. So I was really fortunate to get some referrals in the beginning as well, and those referrals led to other work. And then at the kind of like January to March this year, I kind of had, no other way of putting it, sort of like a wholesale clear out of any clients that maybe weren't best aligned with where I was going in my journey anymore.
Yeah.
Which helped kind of free up some brain power to kind of decide what was next.
Yeah.
But then the flip side to that is that I've also had quite a lot of business this year as well, like May onwards, from referrals from other people. So I would say never underestimate referrals. They can be incredibly powerful, and the work is almost guaranteed once you've had that introduction from someone to someone. But it also depends on you, or also, well, no, it does depend on you doing a good job first. No one's going to make a referral if you've not done a good job.
Yeah, that's right. That applies to LinkedIn recommendations and testimonials. Like, you can be confident you're going to get some good ones if you've done a good job in the past. So my next slide it is about starting with your existing network. So that's where you can find your first clients the easiest. So think about former co-workers, managers, directors that you've enjoyed working with and may need your services. You can also think about vendors and partners that you worked with before, agency owners or employees like you've done. So all these people who may need your services or may know someone that they could introduce you to. As part of this exercise, you could be thinking about the target companies, like a specific industries or your ideal client. If it's, for example, I don't know, a CMO or a business owner, a founder, like in your case, Lucy. So it'd be good to kind of flesh out who the ideal client would be, and then go after people who fit that profile using LinkedIn. That's the best starting point for both new and existing contacts. Then I would also recommend a few freelancing portals. And I don't know if you've used any of those. Lucy probably didn't need to because you've had the referrals. But if if you were at the beginning of your freelancing journey and you feel like you would need to generate leads that way, then we've got Upwork as an option, freelancer.com, Market to Hire, and People Per Hour, and they're all linked in the presentation, and we can include the links in the show notes as well.
Yeah, and another thing, another piece of, probably the best piece of advice I could give is don't view other freelancers as your competition. Because the thing is that once you have good relationships with other freelancers in your network and other self-employed sole traders, you will see work. It works both ways. If you meet someone, it's a very American thing that we haven't adopted as much, but I wish we would. Is the idea that you meet someone and you go, I'm going to introduce you to X, Y, and Z, because these are people who I think could benefit from knowing you.
Yeah.
And I've been quite fortunate that quite a lot of people that I've met, but I've never actually had any like formal dealings with personally with them, have introduced me to other people. as a result of that. The best one, or the one that springs to mind most recently, was a mutual contact of mine and someone else in my network introduced me to someone, and it was actually someone who had been sent their CV, or their CV had been sent to, no, put my teeth back in. I was introduced to this person who's an agency owner in Leeds. In fact, he'd already come across me because my CV had flashed his desk last year from a recruiter, but we'd never met. They decided not to proceed with my CV at the time because they'd filled the role, but it's just nice. And it also means that it's more likely to come back. If you meet someone and they go, I'm going to introduce you to, Tom, Dave and Fred.
Yeah.
When you're looking for someone, you'll remember that person that introduced you to those people and opened you up to those opportunities.
That's right.
Instead of just, seeing everything as closed doors and give over your little network instead. We're the sum of our parts, not our individual skills, I guess.
That's right. So basically, it's about collaboration over competition, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, I really like that you emphasize that aspect. And so, are there any good freelancing events where people could meet other freelancers, either online or in person?
So I have had some good uptake from the Federation of Small Businesses. They have quite a lot of online events that you can go to if you're not an FSB member. Obviously, if you are an FSB member, I think it's the in-person ones you have to pay for if you're not a member, but the online ones are free for everyone. And they're basically, you get broken up into breakout rooms and you do like a little elevator pitch to everyone, and then you kind of, go into the off you go after your hour kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a few good ones in Leeds that I've been to, but aren't necessarily good for meeting other freelancers. They're just good for getting contacts, like Digital Clubhouse. That's every 4 weeks on the last Thursday of the month. That's like super intimate, 60 people max. Good chance for you to go around the room and shake everyone's hand, kind of thing. But there's always something, and you always end up meeting people in the most unlikely situations anyway. Someone in my network literally has a desk at a co-working space in the centre of Leeds, and will literally talk to people in the line for coffee and get his leads from there. It's insane.
Wow, we need a masterclass from him on how to generate leads on the fly. I attend a local the marketing meetup TMM event here, and but I noticed that there are quite a few freelancers attending this event sort of regularly, every month, or I think it happens every 2 months. So that's a good starting point as well if you have a TMM event in your area. But what we're trying to say is definitely go out and try to meet people. Don't just
don't go out too much that you don't have time to do your work, but go out enough.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And also don't oversubscribe yourself either. The amount of events I bought tickets for, it like actually paid money to go to in like September, October last year, that I just couldn't go to because I had too much work to do.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a commitment to it, by all means make a commitment to it. But if you want to go to 4 events a month, make sure you've got the provisions in place for you to go to those 4 events. Whereas if you want to commit to going to one event and being like the most confident, but showing up as the best version of yourself,
that's true. That's right.
1 or 2 would be my recommendation.
Yeah.
And I just didn't go to any. I didn't go to any from like October last year to maybe May. Great life.
Yeah, you're just busy.
Then I had no work, so.
Well, I suppose that's the benefit of being your own boss. Sometimes, you choose your priorities. You can't do everything at once. But I think at the beginning of, when you're building a freelancing business, I think networking is important online and offline. Okay, so this is the juicy chapter, which is the mistakes you've made, and I'm going to share a few of mine. Because definitely don't expect your freelancing journey to be error free, because you'll be finding your feet and learning. Lucy, what have you learned from yours?
I would say that you learn more in the trenches than you do out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And don't believe everything you read on LinkedIn.
So true, Dito. Yes.
I had a client and I really liked the business. I liked their message. I liked their mission. I liked the founder. I liked everyone who worked with that business.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that my boundaries were there would be my boundary in the sand, and that would be where the client went.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved into my office, it gave me a real good opportunity to kind of reaffirm my work-life balance to the point where I could shut the laptop on a night and not reopen it till the next morning. Not most importantly, not feel the need to open it, which was incredible for my actual quality of life.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Mm-hmm.
The problem is that this client liked to voice note you in the wee hours of the morning and late at night, and eventually it all came to a head where they kept questioning how much they were paying, and top managed to successfully, which fool me once, shame on me, managed to successfully talk me down in price like twice. And the third time I was just like, you know what, this isn't going to work anymore. This is not worth my stress.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that I didn't want to be in that position.
No.
To cut that client loose, because you always would rather get the work and keep it.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, that client took up so much of my brain space that I didn't have time to think about anything else. I mean, I'm not saying it was directly responsible, but since then I've managed to incorporate 2 companies and build a new website twice. So I'm not going to say the 2 are related, but
Yes, there might be a correlation.
There might be a slight coincidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think some people can take advantage of your goodwill, right, as a freelancer.
As well.
And I think when you're employed, when you work for a company, there's also kind of that respect for the other company and all the other people that represent it. So that prevents people from being dishonest or disrespectful. Whereas when you're a freelancer and you're an individual, I think sometimes, and I've discovered that, people feel more entitled and take more liberties. And like you said, I think boundaries are so important. Make sure you have a good work-life balance, which is what freelancing really is about, because I think many people go into it wanting that balance, wanting that freedom. So we definitely don't want to ruin it. Right.
I think my final bit of advice would be, you are going to make mistakes. Just embrace them and learn from them. Be the first to put your hands up and say, I've done this wrong and I'm sorry and it won't happen again. And if that means that you have to work late to get the job done or to do the job properly for the client, then it's what you're going to have to do. We've all built our careers around being these people, and there's no reason why these qualities and values shouldn't translate through into your freelancing career.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, but by all means, Anna, make me feel better with some of your mistakes.
Mine was actually one with a very obvious thing that you shouldn't miss, but I did, was contracts, because I was just very trusting. So it happened with a connection of mine, someone I've worked with before, and because there was that relationship of trust, I didn't draft a contract, and as a result of that, I never got paid for the work I did. Yes. And so that's why it's important to have some sort of a contract of agreement with the people you work for. So putting things in writing is important, because people may take advantage of your trust and goodwill. And then an aspect that I still haven't really got around to is lead generation via your website. So you want to have a way of getting information about your site visitors and following up on any warm leads. Or as a marketer, I'm sure you have you have your plethora of ideas, but it could be ebooks or quizzes, etc. So many tools that we have at our disposal nowadays for that, and I would really prioritize this. So if I was to do things differently, this would be a priority for me. Okay, so let's move on to the next section, which is about platform we use and love, and then a final word of advice from Lucy. So the tools I use on a very regular basis are Squarespace. That's the platform that my website is built on, and I absolutely love. I think it's so intuitive and it has some very beautiful templates, and you don't have to be a techie in order to be able to get started and build a beautiful website. And Monday.com, that's a sort of like work management, project management type of solution. Again, really easy to use. There's also a free version which may just do the job for you, and it just helps me at least to make sure that I'm not forgetting things. And I also use it for jotting down ideas. So yep. And then a podcast that I do recommend is called the Freelance Friday podcast. It does have a social media flavor, but I think just the principles and the ideas she shares on there, Latasha James, are very good. Lucy, over to you.
So if I could go back to this time last year and give myself a stern talking to, it would be about these 3 things. So if you do decide to go all in on freelancing, I wish you all the best. But if you take anything away from today, take one of these 3, or preferably all 3 of these away. So my first thing is invest in your tech stack now. Bed it in before you decide whatever the next step is, whether that is that you're going to take on staff, to make sure your processes are as robust as they can be. And having a robust tech stack ultimately gives you the headspace for taking on more clients. So for me, that's ClickUp for my project management, HubSpot for my CRM, and Google Workspace for everything else, because I just need everything to be connected. And I'm fully bought into the Google ecosystem. Yeah. Second tip is set your boundaries early and stick to them. It's easy to fall into a trap of wanting to work with everyone and wanting to go above and beyond for every client. But if you give 110% of yourself to every client, there will be nothing left for you to work on the business.
So good.
There is a red flag. Listen to it. And if you ignore it once, it will come back even bigger. So pay attention to them. They're there for a reason. And finally, delegate what you can as early as you can. So, I mean, I love admin as much as the next person, but you set up your own business and you will be drowning in it from the day before you start. So I have massively automated my ClickUp for my planning, my job management, for my retained clients. I know that they're going to have the same thing month in, month out. So that's just a ClickUp automation that triggers every month, every week, whenever that client needs a job doing. And my mum is my bookkeeper, which is very useful and very lucrative. And it's fine because I just ply her with chocolate and
love. Just pay her with love. Yeah.
And she gets to make me feel not bad at all by just emailing me and going, "Where are your receipts?" And I go, "Oh yeah, my receipts."
Well, we need a sort of person in our lives, whether it's our moms or not, to keep us accountable.
So my 4th bonus tip is have someone to keep you accountable. I'm very lucky now. I wasn't quite so fortunate with it at the start of the year, but I've actually got like a peer network around me now of other business owners that don't maybe do the same thing I do, but we're all at a similar stage in our businesses, which means that when we all get together, we keep each other accountable. And it also means you can just have like one of the other people in the group, we meet up every couple of weeks and we have like business therapy where we talk about each other's businesses and the problems that we're having. And sometimes getting that fresh take is just there's no value you can put on it because it is just so useful.
Yeah, that's the value of having a community, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And it brings us back to this collaboration, not competition. You know, if you were of a certain mindset, you wouldn't engage with things like that because you would probably either see that they are all potential clients or competition, whereas actually we're all working together.
Yeah.
Like whether that is clients or collaboratively on shared projects or that kind of thing.
It's brilliant. So yeah, so the bonus tip is find your community, right? Okay, so you want to talk to us about your new venture?
Yes, so Thistle is my new tool and it's designed to help individuals grow their personal brands online, because one of the biggest things I struggled with last year is posting to LinkedIn, which might stem from the fact that the only time I did post I went viral, and then I was like, oh god, what if it happens again? But I really struggled because I went through every known conceivable emotion of, did anyone actually want to hear what I had to say? What if I said something that got me cancelled? What if, you know, all these things that stem from posting. And we're not naturally, as I think as Brits, we're not inclined to shout about our successes because it's seen as being cocky or arrogant, even though, you know, you should be able to celebrate your wins in business, especially when it's not necessarily the actual version of you that's celebrating those wins. It's business you who needs to celebrate those wins and needs to be in their corner. So I would say the biggest thing that let me down in my first year of business was me and my fear of posting and my fear of not being able to show up, not wanting to show up for myself online. I'll never know if I lost any opportunities as a result of it, but
right, I think many people are confronted with this fear and this hesitation of
so essentially I did the next best thing. I just didn't post.
Yep, I can relate to that.
So Thistle is it's my tool designed to counter that. So basically it is AI, and what we do is we have a conversation, much like the conversation we're having now, Anna, where we get into the nitty-gritty of the characteristics that make you you. That to develop a tailored tone of voice for that user so that they can create posts in a much shorter time. And you don't necessarily have that battle of going to ChatGPT and going, write me a LinkedIn post about this, and whatever it spits out being absolute garbage, because it's pre-programmed with the like I say, the characteristics and the nuances that make you you. So
that's right.
My intention is never for Thistle to replace. It's not to replace your tone of voice. It's designed to amplify your natural expertise and authority, because you are an expert. You have the authority. You are confident as anything talking on webinars or talking to people at networking events. It's just getting over that hurdle of sharing it online.
Yeah, that's right. And does Thistle work specifically for LinkedIn, or does it work with other social media platforms?
So it works with other social media platforms, but it has been built specifically with kind of like LinkedIn in mind, being like that's where most marketing freelancers are going to be hanging out. But it creates, so it can do actual posts, so LinkedIn posts, Instagram posts, Facebook posts and tweets. So it can do the actual content for that. It can also do carousel content, video scripts for pieces to camera, polls if like you want to do like little bits of research on LinkedIn, and also like I think that's everything. Oh, it does LinkedIn comments as well. So if you see a post that you like and you want to respond to it, but you don't maybe know what to say, but you want to say something, you can copy and paste that post into Thistle and go, write me a comment that agrees with this, or write me a comment that disagrees with this. Write a comment that's meaningful and continues the conversation.
Yeah.
And it will do that.
That's great. And then you can tweak it, I suppose, if you want to. Any content you produce this.
It's very much like ChatGPT. Much like ChatGPT is designed to be there not to replace our thoughts, but help us think. This isn't there to be perfect from the off. I would rather someone tried to use it and got a certain output and went, oh, actually, I'd rather say this here. But you've kind of got rid of that blank page, like that staring at a blank screen waiting for words to happen. You've got the words. You can actually, it's much easier to refine something than it is to start from scratch.
Yeah. Cool. So it launches in September?
Yes. So we're currently in user acceptance testing. So we've got 17 people testing it over the summer. I've been testing it for weeks. I've been testing it for weeks, and I kind of didn't want to hand it over to people, but I know the real value will come from people using it in ways that I've not anticipated them being used. So yeah, I can't wait to get people's feedback and hopefully hit the ground running from September, which is why obviously I've set up the discount code, and anyone who does want to get started from September is welcome to take 20% off there. So essentially, I'll bit more context. So it's £18 a month for an individual, but your first month is £50 so that we can have the actual conversation for the onboarding. So if you take out either a monthly or annual plan, you can get 20% off with the code Anna20.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, we look forward to it being launched.
I do and don't. It depends on the day.
Yes. Well, it's definitely exciting and a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick reminder about the freelancing readiness quiz. Definitely pay attention to the steps and the prompts you receive as you take it, and then let us know what your results are. And thank you very much for being here. Do visit Lucy at lucy.smith.com, and my website is annarogerson.com, or you can find us on LinkedIn. And don't forget to request a copy of the slides if you want to. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.